Allie with PotomacBeads.com, and in today's tutorial we're going to be working with 2 needles, learning a right angle weave technique to make this beautiful looking glass bracelet. It looks really complicated, but it's super simple. So check out the materials that you need and get ready to create. So to begin in the looking glass bracelet, what we're going to be doing is beginning with 2 needles, and we're working with the little disco balls here in that Montana color. The only thing that we're going to start out doing is working with our 11O seed beads, which I have in the galvanized gold. So you want to go ahead and do a little pile of your gold and a little pile of your 6mm beads. If you want to, because we are working with 2 size 12 needles and we're working with about 6 feet of thread, you can attach your clasp right away. If you would prefer, you can wait to attach your clasp until we come back down the project. I'm going to go ahead and attach my clasp right away, going into 1 loop, and then I'll reinforce and get another strand through. If you want to use a wire guard or a wire protector, you can do that as well. And then what I'm going to do is take 1 11O seed bead and take both needles through in the same direction. That's going to put that gold seed bead right up to the clasp, and then I won't see a lot of the extra thread showing. I also chose gray thread, so that way I knew I would be showing a little bit on the clasp, and because it's silver, you won't see it nearly at all, really. I'm going to put 2 11O seed beads on both my right and my left needle, and I would like you to repeat that. Everything that we do with the left, you're also going to do with the right. This is not a new stitch, it's basically right angle weave with 2 needles, and then we're going to embellish on the top of it. I just love the crystal look and wanted to show you this video with the crystals. I have the disco ball onto my right needle, and the needle is coming off to the left hand side. I'm going to take the left needle and put it through on the left hand side and let that come out the right. So essentially I have 2 threads crossing in opposite directions through my first 6mm disco bead. Pulling that down then next to my 11O seed beads. I'm going to kind of let it rest right there. You will see a little bit of thread on the sides. Don't worry about that. We are going to take care of that as we come back down the project. From here then, this simple step of doing the actual bottom portion of the bracelet will be 3 of your 11s on both the right and the left needle, and then we're going to pick up a 6mm crystal and cross through the crystal, right through left, left through right. Grab the needles equally and make sure that you have the same amount of thread on each side. From here, we're going to continue that process. Again, you will see a little bit of thread showing, but as we continue the design, you will not see the thread showing when we add the crystals. And we're going to add those metallic blue crystals in for those 2mm. So from here, I'm going to continue, again, with both left and right needle, doing the same exact thing, picking up my 3 seed beads, and then crossing through a 6mm bead. Again, this is right angle weave, but it's using 2 needles, which is going to be a little bit easier for most beginners. Pull the thread on both sides, all the way down, and there you go. So you can see the crystals are going to sit pretty much right next to one another. This bracelet will have a slight curvature to it as we go in and kind of complete it, but you're just going to continue on till your desired length, adding in your crystals with your 3 seed beads on either side. Just to show you a little method to make it faster for you, especially if you're not as ambidextrous with the needles and you do want to still do 2 needles, you can go in, except ignore my little error there that I just noticed, and you can actually add a bunch of the series of 3 seed beads crystal, 3 seed beads crystal to 1 needle. From here then pick up the other needle, and my right hand is dominant, so I've switched from left to right, and I'm going to cross through that crystal that sits after that I've already added. Add 3 more seed beads, 1, 2, 3. Cross through that crystal that I've already added, going the opposite direction of the way that the thread was added. 1, 2, 3 seed beads, cross through the crystal in the opposite direction, and then go ahead, and obviously I'm going to have to take some of those off, and pull tight. And when you pull tight, you don't want to do too many or get too far without pulling tightly. And then once you pull tight, you can see that it's a much quicker way to add all of your crystals in. Once you have your center line long enough, and just to let you know, I have about 25 crystals on here to use with my Potomac's Clasp. I have a smaller wrist too, so you may need a little bit more, but 1 tube will do more than enough for you. Once you have this base line done, we're going to go in and put the clasp on the other side, and then come back down the bracelet, add our X's, and then come back up the bracelet and do the rest of the center line. I have 2 11-0 seed beads on both the right and the left needle, just like I started with on the other side. I'm going to have you grab 1 more 11-0 and put that through. That you have the needle going through the same direction on that 11-0. That's going to allow that 11-0 to sit right at the end of those 2 beads. From here, I want you to take the needles in the same direction as well, and sew through your clasp. And to make it easier, obviously I took the clasp end apart, so that way I didn't have to juggle with the bracelet in the round. Next, come back down that 11-0 seed bead, with both needles, again, going in the same direction. Pulling, then you'll have 2 cords through the loop on the clasp portion. You want to pull them equal and make sure that you don't have a lot of thread exposed right up there at the top. From here, I'm going to separate my needles back out and get ready to add my crystals along the top. So you're actually done with your gold beads at this point for now, and we are until kind of the very end, and we are going to use our 15s and our little 2mm rounds. So I'm going to grab my 2mm rounds out, and those are a nice bright metallic blue, and then my 15-0s. I want you to take the needles and thread and separate them. And just like we did with the X crossing of the bigger crystal in the 6mm, we're going to do a similar thing with the smaller crystal as well. With the needles separated, I'm going to take 2 up the side of those 2 11-0 seed beads, and then take the needle through the crystal. On this left side, same thing, up through those 2 crystals. And once you come up through the 2 crystals, then, just like I did on the other side, you're going to pass through that first crystal. So we're still always going to be passing through the crystal, reinforcing that. And then when you come out through the crystal, here's where we get to have fun kind of adding the embellishment. And the bright silver is going to make it pop. So on either side of our needle, we're going to put 4 15-0s, and then we're going to crisscross through one of the smaller 2mm crystals. So you're going to pick up 4 of your sterling 15s. Now the crystals sometimes can have a smaller hole, so you want to take 1 needle through from the left to the right and 1 from right to left. So we put 4 beads on each side, crisscross through here. You can see that nice little arch that's created. And then again, 4 more 15s on the right, 4 15s on the left. And again, if you're not ambidextrous, you can just kind of switch hands and put down the other needle. Also, I've had some requests from you lefties to do some things left-handed as well, so I'll try to get some videos to you as well. If you don't have, or if you have a screen lock option, you can also turn it upside down, the video. After you have the 4 on either side, you're crossing through the disco ball, making sure the X stays to the top. So whatever side you establish as your top, that's what side that disco ball is going to stay to. So you can see those crystals will sit right inside there, right on top of those disco balls. So again, you're going to repeat after each one of these here, that you're going to pick up the 4 15-0s, pick up a crystal that you're crisscrossing through, 4 15-0s, and then crisscross through that base line as well. I'll do one more here for you. and show you my little cheat. While I have everything in my right hand, I'm going to pick up my crystal with my 4 seed beads and then repeat with 4 seed beads after. Go to the opposite side of my crystal ball. There, my mirrored round. So I'm coming out the right side of the one below and I'm going to the left side of the one above. So the needle is always going to come out the right side. That creates that little bridging over. Then I'm going to pick up the left needle, add my 4 seed beads. I'm going to cross through that crystal in the center, add 4 more seed beads, and then cross through the crystal. When you're crossing through the crystal, just make sure as you do this, 1, you're giving a nice little tight pull. That will make sure that those seed beads sit nice and in line. And 2, that you are not going through any beads along the sides of the project. So continue going on and kind of adding those little X's on top, creating those looking glass effect. When you have your little last X done, you can see that nice little window there, those little looking glass that are created, and it almost makes them, look marquee shaped and has those crystals nice and framed out. If you want to and you want that X to sit a little bit tighter, you can use 3 seed beads, but then it's going to look a little bit more rounded rather than that kind of oval looking glass. So coming out my last crystal, what do you do? So what we're actually going to do is we're going to go up and reinforce the clasp, and then we're going to come back down the side. So the needle that's coming out on the right hand side, go ahead and take up through the 2 seed beads on the side as well as that 3rd bead that sits right along the top. Go through the clasp, making sure to not get your thread, and then back down again. Go through then coming out the other side. And there you have it. Go ahead now with the left side and do the exact same thing, reinforcing the clasp one more time, up through the 2 beads along the side, as well as that center bead, through the clasp, back down through that center bead, and then once you're down through that center bead, go ahead and come out down through the right hand side. And your needle should be coming out after those last 2 seed beads. So coming out the sides, we are going to get ready to add in our 2mm round crystals. We're done with the 15-0s, and I just have the gold sitting here because, again, we want to kind of arch from this clasp at the end to the actual crystals. I'm going to add 2 more 11-0 seed beads in that gold color, and then my crystal, and go down through the next 3 gold beads along the side. Remember, we started those in sets of 3, and that's going to be our starter on the left and on the right. So 2 11-0s go on, and then my crystal, and down through those 3 seed beads along the edge. If you want to, you can actually flip the project over and just have it kind of showing along the edge here. That way you don't get your thread attached at all. And all you're going to do from now on is pick up a crystal and sew right down along the side through those 3 golds. Continuing on the whole way, add a crystal, sew through the next 3 golds. Making sure not to get your clasp attached into that. And once you have them on the right hand side, you're going to go ahead and add them on the left as well. And you'll start to notice a tiny bit of a curvature that will occur as you're adding and going right down along that side. I just want to add 2 more along the front here so you can see that little bit of the curve, as well as how much those little crystals down the side add to the look, I think. If you don't want to, you don't have to add the crystals down the side. You could have finished up but I think it looks great to kind of put those little ends on our little windows that we have here with those looking glasses. So you're going to go through the whole thing down both sides, adding a crystal in between your groupings of 3 seed beads along the side of that 2 needle right angle weave section. As you get to the end of the Looking Glass Bracelet, you can see the beautiful design that it is. And again, it's not a new design. I just love the materials for this. It's actually kind of reversible too. That if you would want to wear it along the back, you can wear it more simplistic, but I think the front really kind of makes those crystals and makes those crystals really, really pop out. When you get to the end, coming out the last of your 11-0 seed beads on both the right and the left, you're going to repeat the same step that you did on the other side, adding 1 of your crystal and then 2 of your 11-0 seed beads up through the 2 11s there, through the 11-0 seed bead that sits at the clasp. I'm going to go then through, making sure again not to catch on any beads. Going through the clasp then, and then back through down to the other side, back through that 11-0. Once you have space to fit through, it's just tight because of being next to the clasp. And I'm going to go back down through these 2 along the side. Let that needle hang out there, and then on this side here, I'm going to put on my crystal, my 2 11s to finish, up through those 2 seed beads to finish off the design. And what I'm actually going to do, because I'm here at the top, I'm actually going to take the thread back through those 2 beads and just tie off the thread right back here. So I'm going to go in then, take those 2 thread ends. This is the nice thing with working with 2 needles. You can kind of tie that off right away. I'm working through and getting that knot. Now it has a tiny bit of curvature to it, but it pretty much can still lay flat. The thing that is great about this bracelet, because of the crystals, both the 2s and the 6s, is that it looks so complicated and so elegant, and yet it's such an easy design. So going back then to the back here, after you tie the knot and bring it back in towards the design, I'm going to take my thread and needle down along the side, here on that one, and along the side on the other one as well. What I like to do is separate the needles out before I burn the thread ends. That way they're not burnt in the same area. Take your thread burner, burn the thread ends off, and then I'm going to use some Loctite glue to glue in my crystal for the clasp. Overall, after you get your seed beads and your little beautiful little crystal in there, your bracelet is finished. And the cool thing, like I said about this, you could actually do this as a bangle too. It would look really great as a bangle. I love this looking glass one because it does show off the crystals, makes them look a little bit oval shaped, and really is quite an elegant look. As always, you can get any of the materials for the Looking Glass Bracelet as well as all others at PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. We're happy to ship all the supplies and inspiration to you. If you like the video, you can also give a thumbs up. That helps me to know and gauge exactly what type of video you want to see, what style of jewelry you like, as well as ask any questions or comment below. Tell me what colors you plan to do it in and what changes or what variations you would like to see. Again, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular updates when we do new things. You can also get more details underneath the video in the little description box, and there's some links to the products in there as well. As always, have fun playing, working, and creating this awesome looking glass bracelet.